Hello there. Welcome back to our second episode of Deb Talks. And this week, I'm really excited. We got a lot of activity last week, lots of questions.
Yep.
Wow, going forward, we have so many things we're going to cover.
So many.
Um,
We're ready.
This week, we are actually going to touch bases on the biggest question we are constantly getting is credit. Why does your credit matter? What's involved in the credit? Why the scoring? All these things come into place when we start.
How
talking
soon
about
can
it.
I start building it?
Yes, that's a great one. And obviously, I mean, since you started on that one, we're going to talk about how soon you can start building your credit.
Okay, perfect.
And
Okay, so obviously we know that in order to establish or to get credit, you have to open up an account or get an account. In order to do that, you need to be of legal age, and legal age is what? Age of 18. So that would
that's
be
when you start your building your credit.
correct.
Yep.
At age 18.
And you know what? People, a lot of the stuff that we're getting asked is why, again, why? Well, obviously, we deal with mortgages. So the credit score matters on a mortgage because it's going to help you have an interest rate. It's going to determine your loan type. It matters on consumer financing too. Your auto loans, your motorcycles, your RVs, any consumer debt that's out there. Your score matters because your interest rates are going to be deprived from that. Your score matters for credit cards.
And so when somebody is going to, like, let's say I have no clue. I am gonna go apply for a home loan. And I call you, hey Deb, I want to apply for, for a home loan. What are you going to ask me in order to be able to pull because I assume you're going to pull a credit report, right? So what information are you going to need from me to go ahead and start that?
I'm going to need, obviously, anybody pulling your credit report is obviously going to be needing your full legal name, your social security numbers, your date of birth, and your address that you currently live at. Now, on a mortgage credit, we're going to need the last 2 years of your home addresses, okay, in order to pull that. So those are the things that you're going to need just to even start pulling a credit score.
Okay.
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 The other thing on credit scoring is what is a credit score? I mean, what is it? So a credit score is actually a number, literally, between 300 and up to 800.
So when you pull my credit report, how many numbers or scores, because I assume it's scores, how many are going to appear?
Are you talking about there's 3 different bureaus?
Okay.
So each bureau has their own scoring module. Okay.
Okay.
And actually, that's one thing I really wanted to touch bases with you on because I know personally I'm asked a lot. Why is the scoring so different from place to place, from one day to the next day? How is that possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I mean, it's the same score. You should have the same scores.
You would think,
right?
Right?
Okay.
You would think.
Yeah.
So there's 3 major credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And all 3 of them have different modules. So I did get a cheat sheet here because I got to make sure and remember this. There's obviously there's the FICO and the Vantage module. So there's 2 different modules, but Experian and Equifax actually use 16 different module types.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so there's 16 there. And TransUnion uses 21 different module types.
Oh, gosh.
And because of those module types, that's the reason you can get a credit score pulled from different places, even on the same day. They very well may have different scores. They all should be, similar to each other. They should be close enough if you're getting scoring from different places.
Mm-hmm. So you should see if they're, that all 3 are in the 600s. You should see that. You shouldn't see like 400, 500, 600 here.
Right. But you could potentially see that. And there's actually a reason for that, because we do see that all the time.
Mhm.
Some creditors, anybody that's lending money is a creditor. Some creditors don't report to all three bureaus. So if one of those creditors are not reporting to one of the bureaus, your scores could be very much different from bureau to bureau because of that. Um,
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit. I have seen
Right.
that. And people have asked, why is it that they're not reporting to all three bureaus? If I'm, you assume that they should,
right.
right?
You would assume so, but we have to pay to report to the bureaus. And so there are places still that don't report to all three. So it's pretty easy. That one's pretty easy. Usually if you see a big difference between a score, say you just said a 600 at one bureau and maybe a 700 another, it could very well be the fact that the one bureau just isn't being reported. So that could be it. But usually what you're going to see, most lenders, and I will say that, do report to all three bureaus.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So most of them are, and you should be seeing maybe a 10 to 15 point variance between the different bureaus.
Mhm.
And that's normal, and that's actually pretty standard.
Pretty standard.
And that's just the module that they choose to use.
And by module, so people understand, by module, is this like a credit, like a rating system that they have?
Right.
Is that what you're referring to
Right.
when you say module?
Right.
They have a different rating system, and that's
Right.
how they accumulate and then get your score.
So again, since we're in the mortgage business,
Mhm.
we are going to most mortgage companies are going to be pulling a heavier weight on anything mortgage related, right?
Mhm.
So anything that has a mortgage or potential on the credit report is going to have a higher weight. Excuse me. Credit cards, they're going to be pulling. They're looking for something maybe a little bit different in that report than we are. So they're going to be, their module might have a heavier weight on a credit card or how you've paid those kind of debts than a consumer loan or something that's out there, than a medical or anything else that's out there. So the modules they're different. Like there's a 2 point, an advantage, 4 point, and whatever, and it's just how they're doing their calculation on what they want to see on that credit score.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I know it's
sorry.
So if I'm a brand new person going to get credit, or I come to you and you say you don't have enough credit because I'm a brand new person establishing my credit, how many trade lines do I need? Do I need to go out and start applying for a bunch of credit cards? What do I need to do? What do I need to do?
No, you've got to be smart always when you're getting your credit going. Okay.
Mhm.
I would highly encourage somebody to get one credit card. Okay. And the limit doesn't matter. Please listen to that. The limit doesn't matter. It's how you use the card. And if you are starting brand new or you have to reestablish, you very well could have what's called a secured credit card. That's okay. So a local bank or there's a couple good online banks that do those. They're going to give you a credit limit, maybe $300 or $500. And that's okay. It's how you use that. It's the usage of that card.
Okay.
Okay.
So do I want to use it a few times a month and pay it, or what do you mean by the usage of the card?
So you want to have at least, so your high balance, the limit they give you.
Let's say they give me a limit of $500.
Okay, so your balance should not be more than 30% of that $500, always outstanding at all time.
Okay, good. Okay, so keep in mind, I have $500. I cannot be over 30% of that
Correct.
at any given time.
I think if I do my math right, it's around $120.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I tell people, and even if it's 300, that's $90. Okay, use that card to that max, pay it off during the next 30 days, use it again up to that 30%, pay it off in the next 30 days. You keep that cycle, and if you're brand new to the credit world, within 6 to 9 months, you're going to have a very good credit score. Okay, and by that I'm talking high sixes to low sevens.
And well,
For somebody starting out, that's
that's
good.
really good, really good.
Yeah.
So if I'm like you said, and I know we're talking about new to the credit world because there are a lot of people that are new to the credit world. And that's why I'm just asking this. But I know there's people that are, they have their credit and everything. But so if I'm new, because I have, I have young men, I have 2 boys, and I've been guiding them on, establishing their credit,
Correct. Mhm.
So I know there's probably a lot of parents out there as well that want to, and want to know, how can I help my child? What do I need to do? So is this one trade line? Because I mean, I love my children, but I also want them to get their own home and hopefully move out soon. So, right. So if they have one trade line, is that going to be enough for them to be able to purchase a home?
It can be.
Okay, it can.
Okay, and that has to determine the loan type that we get somebody into.
Okay,
But one could be very much enough, especially the longer they've had it, one would be enough.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so they don't need to worry about, and I don't need to worry about going out and getting a bunch of credit cards.
No, please
Perfect.
don't go get a bunch of credit cards.
Okay,
The credit usage type matters also. So if you don't have credit, one of the hardest things to get is like a consumer loan of some kind. But again, there are some local banks that would do a consumer loan. Okay, and again, the dollar amount doesn't matter. It's how you pay that debt down. A consumer debt is different than a revolving credit card because it is giving you the same amount of, I'm giving you $2,000, you're gonna pay it back over 36 months. That's gonna take a little bit more time, but again, you make those monthly payments on time, month over month before the due date. And within 6 to 9 months, you're going to establish a credit rating. It might not be as high as using the revolving credit because believe it or not, it's a manipulation of the credit scoring when you're using revolving credit. You heard me say earlier that 30% number is huge, okay? Because that's a big factor in the overall scoring module,
okay,
the pie, if you will. A consumer debt takes longer to get those kind of, you just have to have that longer in order to get that factor in place.
okay,
Okay, so it does work, it just maybe take a little bit longer.
okay.
And again, you don't have to go buy a vehicle to go get it. You don't have to go buy something to go get it. You can go and get a small loan at your local bank, your local credit union, and make good monthly payments month over month over month. And over time, that's going to help. And then you know what you can do with that money? What you got that loan for?
What?
Put it in a savings account. Okay? Put that money in a savings account. Let that money start earning interest. But that's a story for another day.
Oh yeah, that will be another show.
But yeah, that will be another show.
Okay.
But those are just 2 quick little tricks to help establish credit.
Okay.
Okay, and obviously, if you're 18 doing that, or if you're 24 doing that, again, it's gonna take time to get it that, but what you do can shorten that time frame.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So
So-
what you do, how you do it,
Right.
it's systematic, right? Is what
Right.
you're right? Okay.
Yeah, and when we look at a credit score, most people are so fixated on the score. Understandable, because that really, a score gives a lender, doesn't matter what you're lending for, it gives us a really quick bird's eye view of what might be inside that report. It really does. But for mortgage purposes, we also dive very deep into the credit report.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we see so many things on a credit report that matter to us.
And what are certain things that overall that we look at? I mean, when we sit down, we pull the credit report and we see in that report, what are things that we are looking for right away?
We're obviously looking for any outstanding debt. We're looking for what your payment is. We're looking for how you've made that payment time over time over time. We are going to look at other things on that report also. We are going to look to see if there's any collections.
And those will show up first, right? Collections will show up first, typically?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It depends on who's pulling the report.
True, very true.
For mortgage lending, we do look at that right at the gate.
Yes,
So that shows on our reports first.
correct.
In the end, I'm gonna give you a couple little pieces of advice in the end that's really important. And
Yes. So stay tuned.
yeah,
till the
stay
end.
tuned for that. So anyhow, it just reminded me that I wanted to do that. But on that front part of that report for mortgage lending, we're gonna see any collections. And that is actually debts that you've had that you've not paid, and the creditor decided they're not gonna collect on you anymore, and they wrote it off as bad debt. We're gonna see charge-offs. We're gonna see, well, on the back of in the end of a report for a mortgage credit, you're gonna see any bankruptcies.
Yeah.
You're gonna see foreclosures. Those are the things we're gonna see. We don't see liens and judgments anymore in a credit report.
Yes, that's really important. Really important to, because if we don't bring that up, right, when we are interviewing you or talking to you or counseling you, please, something that you might have, bring that up. If
Right,
you
we're
think
gonna
it
see
could be a
little
potential
things,
issue.
we're gonna see little things that might flag us.
Yeah.
But the Consumer Protection Act does not allow judgments and liens to show up on credit reports any longer. But it does take, if you have anything like that, it will absolutely be found in the mortgage process. So it's very important that we talk about those kind of things, but they're not on the credit report. Okay,
Mhm.
other things that are on the credit report, believe it or not, is the social security number right? If not, there's a big red flag on it, there's a
Oh.
fraud warning on it. Date of births, does the date of birth match up on the credit report to what we were told the date of birth is? There's always transposing in numbers and stuff, so that's.
Yeah.
But it will show that on there, any names that you have ever had,
Variances and names,
variances, right?
right?
Whether you're a junior or a senior, whether you use a middle name or not use your middle name. So there's names will show on there. Your addresses, the previous addresses that you've ever lived at will show on there. These things that I'm telling now,
Mhm.
those things do not have any effect whatsoever on the score. So don't panic if they're wrong on there. There's zero effect on the score on those. It's just those are the things that we do see on a credit report.
Correct. And I have had some instances where I have gone to pull a credit report and I don't get a score. So what could be some reasons that I don't get a score from a credit bureau?
There could be several reasons. One, if they're young
Mhm.
and they just don't have it, there's gonna be no score. The biggest thing we do see a lot of times is somebody quit using credit. Once you quit using credit, you might have had cars and houses and everything in the past, but after time, your scores start to decrease until you actually have no score.
Mhm.
And it's a balancing act because you don't want too much debt, but you always have to have something on there
Yeah.
going because, like I said at the very beginning, the interest is a huge one. I mean, if you don't have a credit score, you're going to be paying a higher interest rate, much higher interest rate, more fees on mortgage lending, on cars. You could be declined for a credit card if you did need one. There's a lot of jobs out there right now too
Yeah.
that are pulling credit reports.
Mhm. Yep.
Job applications look for that.
Yeah. I quite a few. They want to
Even
know.
if you don't need a home,
Yeah.
you need to rent your home.
Exactly. If you
They're
want
going to be most landlords are going to be pulling a credit report
to.
because it really does give us a good picture of is this person that's wanting to either borrow money from us or have employment with us, are they a solid bet?
Yeah.
I guess.
And I think another reason that I may not get a score when I have gone to pull a credit report is if you have actually frozen your credit report,
Yes.
because you can go in and freeze your credit report and maybe you forgot that you've done that, and then when you come to apply and we go to pull it, we can't pull it for that reason, perhaps.
Right. And in that case, it's easy because if there's still things being reported, you still have consumer debt out there of any kind, and it's being reported, it's being reported. So it's on the back end being reported. We just can't see it until you go in and unfreeze that credit and allow us to go ahead and have access to that data in order to proceed with the loan.
Mhm.
And it is important, a frozen credit on a mortgage, we will require that you unlock your credit report in order for us to review it. You can lock it back up as soon as we're done with that.
Mhm.
So,
How about I think I've also noticed that a dispute, if you dispute an account, it won't, it freezes that
that,
grade line,
correct,
correct?
yes.
Um,
So for instance, a collection, and there's we haven't even touched bases on credit repair companies.
yes.
Um, so there's a lot of credit repair companies that one of the tricks that they use is they will dispute that account. What that does, it stops that reporting.
Why would I
It doesn't-
dispute an account? Why would somebody dispute an account?
There's legitimate reasons to dispute an account.
Okay,
I mean, fraud charges. That's
Mhm.
I mean, dispute that all day long.
yeah,
If you've missed a payment or if you've missed several payments, and a lot of times when you dispute, so one of the tricks is dispute that account. It stops that account from reporting, and then your score can change dramatically. So if you had negative on that line, I'm just going to say, I don't know, Capital One. If you had some negative reporting on that Capital One and you wanted to stop that, you could dispute that. It stops that from the scoring. It doesn't remove it. It just stops it from scoring. And so as
it
mortgage,
doesn't go into the scoring system, correct, that you were speaking about?
correct.
Okay,
So it could help your scoring system.
okay,
Okay, so
Okay.
that's a trick that's out there with a lot of these credit repair companies. But unfortunately,
yes, there's always a
yes,
catch.
that's a big deal for a mortgage lender. It can be a big deal for a mortgage lender. So we may very well need you to remove that dispute item just so we get a accurate reflected on what's going on. Because what if you stopped it, it's disputed, and now that account went to collection and there has a potential of being a judgment outstanding on it. So those are the things that we're gonna look for.
Okay,
And not always do we need to have that verbiage dispute removed, but sometimes
but sometimes.
we do,
Okay,
yeah. And talking about credit repair,
yes.
okay, so, and talking about it, we're gonna just touch bases a little on it because believe it or not, there's some really good credit repair companies out there, but there are a lot of scam credit repair companies or some that, you know, they're not consumer friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, if you know what to do, most of the time you can do everything they do on your own. It just takes time and energy at no cost. You can do that. But if you don't want to, there are some good credit repair companies that work for you. But you need to know and understand some of the laws that protect you. One, they have to have a very clear plan of what they're going to do for you. It has to be written out. They have to give a time frame on when they expect this to help you. They have to give you the document, again, the agreement between you on exactly what they're gonna do, when they're gonna do it, and the cost to do it. Once you sign that, you have 3 days to say, yes, I do wanna continue with that, before they can ever collect any money from you.
Mm.
So they will collect money from you to do this. But they cannot do that for the 3 days after you've signed that, sort of like a mortgage right of rescission,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
So
they,
you never
you
pay
should
them
not
upfront.
pay upfront. That's, okay, never pay upfront if they're a true legitimate credit repair company.
Correct.
Okay,
Do not
Okay.
pay that up front.
that would be a huge red flag
Yes.
if they're collecting money upfront.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes, and they have to have very clear agreement between what they're going to do with what accounts and how they're going to approach that,
okay.
okay?
There you go. That's really important as
That
well,
is.
to get it in writing.
Yes.
You must have it in writing, your plan that that they have with
Yes.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And again, you can do pretty much, you can do, not pretty much, anything that they can do for you, okay?
okay,
I want to give a couple quick tips.
okay.
Okay,
Yep.
and we do this all the time.
We do. That's, yes.
So a lot of times people, you get all the spam, the spam
Ugh.
emails, your phone calls, the stuff that comes in your mailbox, right?
Yeah.
From anybody, insurance companies, lenders, home warranty companies, anybody that wants to give you credit of some kind. So you can stop that, believe it or not. And it's pretty easy.
It is.
We do it as a service for every single one of our clients, okay? So you can go to opt out pre-screen, and if you want to know what that is again, just let us know.
Mhm.
But it is online, it's called opt out pre-screen. Each social security number has to do their own. So if you're married, you would do one and your spouse would do one. You can, if you do it online, you can opt out for 5 years. And what you're doing is you're telling the 3 bureaus that you do not give them access to sell your information to these third-party companies that buy it from them. Okay? So you're stopping them from being able to sell your personal information. You'd think that would be natural, but it isn't. You have to tell them to stop. So usually when you do that online, it takes 7 to 10 business days, and then you're going to start seeing those things go away.
Okay.
If you have a relationship with a company, say again Capital One, and they have a relationship with somebody else, that won't stop those. Okay, but it will stop any other third party coming in and looking at your credit bureau because they will pull soft credit reports.
Yeah, that, and where can I see that? How would I know if they do that or if
Okay.
they've done that?
I'm going to tell you that in a second
Okay.
because I want to tell you the other thing on the opt out.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah.
So you can do it for 5 years by doing it online, or you fill the same form out, you print it off, and you mail it to them. And that takes 30 to 45 days before that comes into effect, and that opts out for life by mailing it. Okay, so usually what we do is we go and opt our borrowers out at least for the 5 years, and then we give them the information they can opt out for life. I'm telling you, it works. I do it. I can't. And soft credit pulls, then they will stop on that.
Mhm.
But where can you see it?
Where can you see it? Yeah.
Now, this is another thing that I highly recommend all my buyers do. I tell people do it once a year when you do your taxes, do it then. But you can go in and get your own credit report for free. One time a year. It's called annualcreditreport.com.
And it will not hurt your credit scores.
It does not hurt your credit score.
Right? Okay.
And when you go in there, you can there's 3 major credit bureaus. So you can ask to see all 3 credit bureaus at the same time, or you can do one time and wait another few months and do another one. But you get from all 3 bureaus, you can get access to your personal credit report for free one time a year. Annualcreditreport.com. When you get that, if you want to see your score, you have to pay for your score.
Okay.
But it's relatively inexpensive. It could be $7 to $10. I can't remember. If you know what your score is and you've always paid your debt and you know, then you might not need to worry about getting your actual score.
Okay.
Or you go to one of them and get it. But you have to pay for your score if you want it. But inside that, you see exactly what we see. Okay? You will see all the debts you've had, whether they're paid or they're not. You will see your outstanding balances. You will see your payment history for years and years and years long. If you say, like personally, I've had a credit card, I've had it for probably 20 years, 15 years, I don't know. I can go in there and I can see exactly how I've ever paid that card. When you stop paying a payment, you get a loan of any kind, and the loan pays off or your credit card stops, it's going to tell you when that's going to stop reporting to the credit bureau. Okay.
That's good. That is huge.
Yeah,
That's
it's going
good
to
to
tell
know.
you right
It's
on
huge.
there.
Yeah.
Same thing with if you have a collection or if you have any derogatory, it's going to show all of that. And if those things are paid off, it's going to tell you when that's going to stop reporting to the credit bureaus too. So by getting your own credit report free once a year, you have access to all that information, and you are then in the driver's seat on anything you want to do, whether you want to buy a car, whether you want to get, the credit card companies are going back when good credit to 0% interest.
That's fantastic to know.
So be in charge of your finances by knowing your credit.
Yeah. That's why your credit matters.
That is why your credit matters.